Agriculture. The region has a total arable land area of 1,402,129 hectares, with 454,569 hectares under cultivation. The geographical location of the region is such that it supports a wide variety of crops to feed the agro-industry. These include industrial crops: cocoa, oil palm, citrus, lime, coconuts, pineapple, coffee, sugarcane, rubber, black pepper, precursor, tiger nuts, ginger, and the rest. Starchy staples: we have maize, cassava, yam, plantain, cocoa yam, sweet potato, rice. Then for the vegetables, we have garden eggs, okra, pepper, shallots, tomatoes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there are several other untapped opportunities in the areas of tourism, education, industry, hospitality, manufacturing, transport, communication, small-scale mining and production, art and culture, entertainment and recreation. More so, the region has the enabling business environment to talk of educated, skilled, disciplined and innovative workforce, technically well-trained and competent workforce at the middle and upper management levels, comprehensive educational system, tertiary, vocational and industrial training, 2 public universities and a technical university, extensive road networks and highways linking various parts of the region, including Western North, Ashanti and Greater Accra regions. Comparatively, quality and reliable power supply, potable water, extensive telecommunication network, and broadband services, including asymmetric digital subscriber line to ensure fast connectivity to the internet, availability of land for investment, nearness to sea and airports, professional competencies in companies in the areas of secretarial, legal, human resource, civil engineering, architecture, data outsourcing, financial services. Options for 100% direct ownership of joint ventureship with private sector as well as metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. And to crown it all, the existence of the Central Regional Development Commission, CEDECOM, we all know, as a regional development agency promoting private sector development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, limited time and space at this forum will not permit me to expatiate on all the rich potentials of this beautiful region. However, drawing my inspiration from this year's independence theme, working together, bouncing back better, I have an ardent hope that when we put our collective shoulders to the wheel, we can transform the investment potentials of this region. Therefore, I pray you all to the fore so that we can come together to build this rich business backgrounds and experience to inform the summit and to open up opportunities for investment in the region. Nana Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to commend the leadership of GUA and, for that matter, the organizers of this beautiful program for this initiative. Indeed, acknowledge with admiration your resolve to partner the government to move the investment potentials in the region to the next level. We are happy to work with you. And on that note, we wish you well. God bless us all.
Oh, we can still do better. I told you. Even the name sounds golden, marigold. This is always looking for more. Thank you very much, Honorable Central Regional Minister. Yes, talking about the organizers, I think this beautiful place that we're seeing here is kind courtesy of GUBA Enterprises and Beyond the Retail. And then let's acknowledge, the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Eko Samson, and your team from Accra, and those in Central Region. Thank you for your yeoman's job. It's very impressive. And GUBA stands for Growing, unite, building Africa. I think this is very encouraging. So we are all working together to bounce back better. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our chair, at this juncture, we are going to do the unveiling investment opportunities. So let me welcome the first speaker. He is in the person of Mr. Yofi Grant, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Please let's welcome him.
Good morning, Your Majesty, the Regional Minister, who just gave a very comprehensive and illustrious, inspirational speech. The Deputy Minister of Tourism, Mr. Kwesi Ajiman, of GTA, my very good friend who runs Cuba, the entire Cuba's program, the map in many places. Other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I observe the existing protocols? I think this is long overdue. It's long overdue to me personally, because this is where I come from, but also because of what the Central Region holds in the history of this country. Today we are here to initiate something that should not only be regionally based, but nationally based. And I say so for three very good reasons. The Central Region has three different economies, which stands extremely strong, and the Minister did indicate some. But I think what has really elevated above the others is the tourism potential. And why is it very important? The Central Region in the history of this country, and not just the history of this country, but the history of Africa and Africa trading with other parts of the world, stands out miles above other places south of the Sahara. And indeed, in 1484, if the history is right, the Portuguese found their way here and built the first fort south of the Sahara, and perhaps the only existing European fort that is still in existence south of the Sahara. They built St. George Damina, which is now Malmina Castle, and it was St. George of the Mines Castle. Now, why was that the name they gave to it? Because when they came here, they found all sorts of minerals and went straight into mining. And it became a very significant outpost for Europeans who were applying the Atlantic for trade. By 1637, the Dutch took over and used it for many other, economies, but mainly trading. And then, of course, this is where you'd find the whole history of the slave trade best expressed, till they ended in 1814. The forts in this region were major trading posts during the times of slavery. Now, because of that, there is a certain cultural heritage that we cannot let go, because we all agree that we must say never again. And to say never again, we must have those symbols that are there that we can look at and say, because of this, never again. And somehow, despite lack of critical investment to ensure that we optimize and monetize that opportunity, we haven't. But that notwithstanding, as my good friend Akwesi tells me, almost every year, averagely 200,000 people troop to the Central Region to see these two major castles, Cape Coast Castle and Elmina Castle, which, by the way, are now World Heritage Sites. So the world recognizes the importance of these two structures. But have we? I think not enough. And today is a clarion call for us to wake up and say that there is money there waiting to be taken. There is development there waiting to be taken. Tourism will spearhead it. And that is the reason why it's very important that we also look at the construction of an airport here. Because as I was coming, and I've done the route, driven here so many times, it's just 135 kilometers. But it takes me over 2 hours to get to Cape Coast. And it's totally inefficient. It's just totally inefficient. And if we are to make this the hub of tourism in the country, we must build that airport at all costs. I know there are members of the diaspora here. Can you imagine that to get to Cape Coast from Accra, it should take you just 30 minutes? You spend the whole day doing whatever you have to do, and 30 minutes you're back in Accra. Can you imagine the numbers of people who would patronize that just to do what it is and see some of the things that you see? Even if you were to build a 6-lane highway to Cape Coast, you would still fly. So there is a need for that connectivity. And that takes me straight next to the next economy, which is education. And I dare say that the central region, particularly Cape Coast, is a cradle of Ghanaian education. The oldest schools in the country are here. The university here and the secondary schools here have trained lots of people who have ascended into highest positions in the country. But sadly, we still see the schools the same as they were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And today, the only economy sustaining Cape Coast is education. Despite all the choice to come here, we have still not been able to monetize it to ensure that Cape Coast thrives as a modern, attractive city. Indeed, yesterday I called a couple of my friends who are all fancies, and I said to them that, you know, there's this conference in Cape Coast, and I'm a bit worried. And they all said the same thing, well, we all bowed down our heads and shame. That we've not been able to elevate Cape Coast into a bigger global name. And I tell you, I've been around, and there's a town in Cuba called Varadero. Varadero is just a beach. There are more flights to Varadero than there are to the rest of Cuba, to Havana and everywhere. Every day, they have about 5 flights, trooping people in and out. And that's how I see Cape Coast in the future. Even if we're just to develop education and tourism, it will be enough to sustain this country. And so for me, this is a very big wake-up call. And I told my friends that, look guys, we've got to wake up, we've got to do something here. It's beyond politics. It's recognizing where we come from. It's recognizing how the country has got to where it is. It's also a story that every African can relate to. So for me, it's very important that I'm here today, and I sort of defeated all odds to make sure that I could come and speak and go back, because I have a couple of very important things that I'm supposed to be traveling, but I said, no, I have to do this. The last one, which the regional minister, Marigold, did emphasize on, is the real productive economies. And Cape Coast once again stands tall, but is lying flat. Because despite all the opportunities that exist here, there's not been any effort to actually elevate them to national importance. Salt is a mineral that we find here in abundance. Land, I'm even surprised that the central region has over 1 million hectares of land, and yet we have not used it constructively to engage the other economies. We have quite a number of factories coming up here, but they are certainly not enough. And in an era of one district, one factory, we should declare that in the central region alone, we should have 20 factories in one district. So, Nana Saberima, the regional minister, I think this, for us, is a starting point. We should create totally different narrative for the central region. It's a region of abundance. It's a region that microcosmically also represents Ghana in all its glory. It has a fantastic history in almost all aspects of it. It was a trading zone. It's the last European trading zone left south of the Sahara since the 1600s. And even that in itself is a marketable commodity. And so the opportunities are there for agriculture, for industrialization, and of course, I mentioned education and tourism. The one big thing lacking now is that we have to market it. And I'm indeed very delighted and honored to be called to be part of this by my very good friends Akwesi Ajima and Denta, because this is where the marketing starts. And the marketing starts by us creating a separate and different narrative for the Central region. And indeed, it is instructive that the 65th celebration of Ghana's independence should be held here with the clarion call of bouncing back better, building back better. There's nowhere to build back better than the Central region. And so I think for those who are here, those from the diaspora, let's rise up to the occasion. The diaspora is a very inseparable partner to Ghana's development. I mean, every year, averagely, Ghanaians, the diaspora, and others in the diaspora, including people from the Caribbean, people from the Americas, send back to Ghana over $3 billion. Averagely, $3 billion. But it's informally tapped. So government's view is that, well, maybe we should actually find the right channels for these monies coming in and make sure that those who bring the monies in get some return. Right now, what it is you send it to your cousin, your friend, whatever it is, build a home for me, they'll take pictures of buildings that don't exist and send to you, and you come back and you're distressed and totally heartbroken. So government is thinking of doing a diaspora bond, where we say, okay, give that money to us, let's use it for development, and give you something back in return. So it's not a story of you've worked all your lives, pardon my use of this word, slaving in some other person's country, sending the money home, and people at home will drop the money. It's hard, and it's difficult, and it's painful. Let's bring it back home and use it better, and bounce back better, and you get a return. So my simple message this morning is this is where the marketing starts. Let's create a totally different narrative. Let's carry the narrative in our hearts. The Central region, if in its entirety, represents the black spirit. The doors of no return are here. We change that narrative of no return. We now come back in and stay in any way you can, in spirit, soul, and body. And so for those of you in the diaspora, this is also a welcome home clarion call. We are ready. We are much more serious these days. We don't want to chop anybody's money. We want to use it constructively. And this is a discussion I've had with Osaberima for almost 3-4 years. And I remember we had a meeting at the Jubilee House with the president, where they outdoor some amazing projects. And I was saying to myself, even that one project that they brought about, which is the development of the coastal area in multiple ways, would have changed the fortunes of our country in a very significant way. So we at GIPC are actually going to start the marketing. Indeed, I've already commissioned that a video be made of the opportunities in the Central region as a start. We'll do this in all the other regions, but we'll start from the Central region. And so we are looking for partnerships with all the other agencies, Ministry of Trade. There's a Business Resource Center here. We're going to put a man here who is going to work to get us all the data. The minister has given us more than enough to chew on, much more than enough to chew on. We can't just listen and go back home and sleep in business as usual. It cannot be business as usual. And I'll tell you that I'm assuring you it will not be business as usual. So thank you very much for listening. And you have my support any day. And you know you can summon me any day. I'm your son. And I can't go anywhere and mention my name and they'll say, oh, Fanti boy. Fanti boy, we like good things. And this is the time to show that we really like good things. So thank you very much for listening.
Hello, Mr. Grant. We cannot hear these beautiful things without questioning from the gathering. So please join me. Thank you very much. Please let's welcome him for doing that. When we talk about investment and promotion, the name resonates. Yofi Grant. Please, are you ready? Questions. We have the Chamber of Commerce to ask questions. Keep the microphone will go around for people to ask questions. Shadrach, are you ready? Yes, so please put up your hand and then ask a question.
Hello? Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. The chairman for the occasion and the chairman. In November 2021, we had a visit from Mpokekis, the regional chairman of Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I also double serve as a member of the GUTA, as the regional chairman for the Council of Elders for the Central Region. In 2021, we had a visit by our able Tourist Minister, Honorable Awam, who was here. And then he was talking about iconic centers to be developed with 100 million Ghana cedis. And then we should be able to bring in about 2 iconic area centers. And about 4 months thereafter, there was the issue that some of the regions had brought in their iconic centers, including the Wuli area, Asantua Mausoleum, Kwame Nkrumah, and all that. Paga, Crocodile Center, and all that. Excluding Woffley, input from Central Region. They were saying they were going to use 18 months to develop those iconic areas, and that we should be able to bring 2. And then, because we are the hotbeds of tourism, we were supposed to bring in other heritage centers to be developed, because we are the heartbeat of tourism in this country. But we never responded. As today, other iconic areas are being developed, including 2 from Vortex and all that, and we are lacking. And then the next issue is about the training, the skill set training for our tourism operators. Honorable Chairman, in this region, we have very poor SME sector within the tourism enclave. Very poor. Hugely irrelevant within the tourism landscape. And the government, on 4th of August 2021, initiated a program, skill training for tourism operators, meant to advance training for over 10,000 operators. Here we are, myself, being a regional chair for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the lead voice of the business community in this region. The information flow that ought to be within the domain of the business community is woefully absent, completely absent. And if you have a technical eye within the industrial sector, if you don't, you bring in a flagship policy, and you don't try to bring in information to a doorstep of the target groups.
Right. So what is the question?
Wait, what we are saying that, you see, the regional minister clearly stated, as I tell you, that we are going to support his agenda to make a narrative. What we are saying that all these issues, we should be able to make inputs to get our fair share of the cake for development within the city.
All right.
But we are not having them.
Definitely. So, Mr. Grant, now you have the questions.
Yes, I agree with you. But the fact that it wasn't done doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. It doesn't mean that at all. And that is why we're here today. I work with government, but when it comes to development and economies of scale, etc., I don't have the position that you should always rely on government. The central region itself can go out as an authority and raise the needed finance or raise the needed profile for investors to come in. Why do we always wait for central government that we know is already labored heavily with demands from every quarter. That's the reality. And when they say they want to tax us to develop, we say no. Yet we are making demands all over. We ourselves can get up and do it. Why not? I mean, the question I ask you, why not? Let's not overly burden government with some of these things when we ourselves can do it. Look, if today you came to me with a very credible business plan and demonstrate to me that this plan will work and it will generate revenue, I can tell you, I won't bat an eyelid to say, let me put you in front of an investor who will take this and run with it. What we haven't done, and I said, is that we haven't marketed ourselves. We haven't changed the narrative. We have to change that narrative. And you are the chairman of the business people here. Have you at any point yourself said, let me put together a plan that if I put in front of a bank or a business person, he can't say no? You probably haven't, because you are waiting. I don't know how many of you are into literature, but you know that we're waiting for Godot by Abdul-Rashid. Godot is never coming. We are our own Godots. Let's just rise to the occasion and put our shoulders together. If it didn't happen because he said it, maybe he had good intentions, but perhaps on reality you realize that the capital required to do that didn't work. Others have done it. That doesn't mean you can't do it. For all you know, if you did it, you also be better than theirs. I'm an eternal optimist, and it has worked for me in my life. I bet it will work for you, and it will work for Central Region. What hasn't been done, we will do. Simple question.
The students. Sorry.
Perhaps I may add a note. He made mention of something which is critical though, and that's training. Training for the hospitality industry. It's good that my friend Mark is here. It's a critical part of the equation. I mean, I've been traveling a lot, trying to sell Ghana, and sometimes when I come back home, I realize that we have a huge gap. First in understanding and the quality that you require to sell services. You know, and I can give you an example, and I keep telling people that there's no better country in this world than the Emirates, and particularly Dubai, in services. They make you feel like you own the space in which you are. In Ghana, they make you feel like, what are you doing here? We are not good at selling. And you know why? Because we don't take control of our own assets and monetize them. Because we're always expecting that, it's government should do this, government should do that. And because we are not in control, we always feel like, I'm working for the chap, he's making all the money, so let me do it as I can. We can change that. Like I said, this is the cradle of education. There's every reason that the resources are here to train people. And a lot of our students who are coming out thinking of looking for jobs instead of looking for opportunity. We did some little research recently, and it's painful for me. We took quite a number of students who had graduated from Ghana to track their trajectories, and we took students who were trained outside who have come back to Ghana and are trying to do stuff. A significant proportion of those who have come from outside, who went to school outside and come back to Ghana, are all looking at running their own businesses. A significant proportion of the graduates from here are looking for jobs to be paid by somebody. Meanwhile, the opportunities are here right in front of us. And that's why the marketing and the exposure is important. But we cannot do that when we create a different narrative. A narrative that says that, well, the Central Region is ready to embrace you if you are willing to roll up your sleeves and work. The opportunities are here, no doubt. That is why the Portuguese came in 1484. Because this was the spot, this was the landing spot. And we have neglected it. So who should we blame? Who should we blame? I'm asking, who should we blame?
Ourselves.
Ourselves. Let's take advantage of the clearing opportunities that are in front of us. And you can do it. You'll be surprised. And sometimes you feel like, it's too big a task to do. No, but you can. You should never take no as an answer. If you want to put an airport here, make sure that we get that airport here. That airport here might give you a little space where you might even be selling crabs or lobsters. Simple formula. But we are always waiting for Godot, as they say, or waiting for somebody to say, here's your job, and we get a 9 to 5, and we are satisfied. I am never satisfied with 9 to 5. I'm only satisfied with 24 hours. If I'm not working, my money should work for me.
Definitely.
And I offer to you that take that opportunity and run with it. The opportunities are here. I am looking at doing business here. I was going to say when I retired. I've retired 3 times. I'm still but I'm looking at doing business here. I'm calling my friends and says, look, there's easier target, easier opportunity, better opportunity in the central region. Why am I struggling elsewhere?
All right. Let me take 2 quick ones so that Mr. Grant will address them. Please, the question must be short and straight to the point, please. Because of time. Because of time, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have a question that is plaguing a lot of the diaspora, land fraud. What can the Land Commission do to streamline this event of buying land and buying property? It's rampant up here, fraud.
That's a great suggestion. I mean, I'll tell you, land all over, I'm sure you're a student of history as well. Land everywhere in the world has been a difficult case. And in many countries, they've solved it by saying that, okay, nobody owns land, government owns all land. But Ghana is not the same. The stool owns land, families own land, individuals own land. And they keep it to their chest because that's the only thing God stopped making. So if you have some good property. I mean, I tell you my own experience. I bought a piece of land. I paid for it 3 times, and I still don't know whether I own it. But I think that the effort to streamline all that is already happening. First, by digitizing all land in Ghana. And all land in Ghana today, every 5 by 5 meters squared has a digital address, so we know that the land exists. Secondly is to clean up the registry of who owns that land. And that's a difficult thing because there are some lands that have been in litigation for close to 30 years. And so it's been resolved. But there is a clear understanding on the side of government that if we need to use land, and land is, like I said, is value, and we need to use it properly, we need to streamline the ownership and the usage, and even separate ownership from usage. Some countries have done very radical things, like Canada. In Canada, you own property, you own land, and it's not used, it's taxed, and it's taxed heavily. So you yourself, you decide, there's no point in holding on to this land, let it go. And it must be used. When we get to that point, I assure you, there will be enough land Ghana is 338,000 square kilometers. And as the minister said, the central region, you have arable land, 1.4 million hectares. It's lying there, waiting for somebody to use it. But we're going to struggle for 100 feet by 70 feet in Accra, when there's 1.4 million hectares waiting in the central region, free. Osabari is there. If you came to him and says, look, give me 5 hectares, I want to plant tiger nuts for export. Do you think you say no? He won't. He'll embrace you. Perhaps give you a minor stool name for that 5 by 5. So opportunities exist. It's we opening our eyes. But once again, I'll post that it begins with us marketing the opportunity. We need to create a different narrative. We shouldn't always say, government didn't do this, governments come and go. Government is a permanent institution. People in government change, but government is permanent. And we can't keep blaming that government didn't do this and they didn't do that, and we are still sitting there. We should do it. And we should help government. We should partner government. The minister said it. Opportunities for private partnerships exist. We should partner government. Right. We the people should partner. Government can do everything, but we the people can do many things.
All right. We'll take the very last one. Let's hear from the women.
Good afternoon. My name is Akua. Giving honor to the King and all the ladies and gentlemen in the building. I do have a couple of questions, and I'm glad the gentleman did asked about the land, and
Yes.
I'm trying to complete purchase of my land. I'm going through what he had just mentioned. So my questions are kind of threefold. I'm sorry, but you can just answer whatever you can now, and maybe later on I can just pull you to the side. Thank you for mentioning the road expansion, because coming up here on a trotro and a bumpy road is not very comfortable.
Don't worry, soon you fly.
Okay, yes. So I'll be happy to hear that road, and expansion of the road is very necessary for
Yes, it is.
coming this way. My question is, who do many factories here in Ghana, and I believe there's an orange factory or something like there. Is there anyone trying to reopen those factories? Because that can employ many people that need jobs, just opening those factories back. And thirdly, is there any financing available for the diaspora, or is there some type of discounted in place for us to actually get the business going?
Okay. Thank you. Very good questions. Great questions. First of all, who do you contact? There's the Central Region Redevelopment
Commission.
And there is, you just said the gentleman mentioned that he's head of the business community here. He runs an association. So all these exist and are resources to enable you get in contact with somebody. Sorry? The Central Region Development Commission. SEDECOM.
They'll be speaking later. They'll be speaking.
They'll be speaking later, so you can get a direct contact. So that's very important. And then there's, of course, the Chamber of Commerce. Then there's the business resource centers that are also available to assist you get your registrations and help you. They're actually incubation centers set up by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to enable you get your businesses done. Now, you did ask for whether there's any special financing. You know, I wish there was too. I mean, I'll tell you frankly, I wish there was. I mean, I could ask the same question that if I went to the United States as a minority, would I get any special funding? The answer is no. I might even be kicked to the end of the line. You know? But that is neither here nor there. Ghana, our business laws and the GIPC law says that when you register as a business in Ghana, you are considered just like a Ghanaian. And so it will be on the strength of your business proposition that you get the financing. And unfortunately, I won't be here. I mean, I won't be staying here for long. What I said, I could have given you where, but SEDECOM is speaking. They will give you all the details and the context that you need. And then you mentioned about, was it the citrus farm? Yes, whether it's being reopened. Let me give you a hint. Why don't you find an investor and come and take over? Yeah. Yeah. That's the idea. Go find an investor and says, I want to do that. I'm sure if you come to the minister and you come to get the blessing of a Sabariman, nobody's going to stop you. They will probably encourage you because you're going to create jobs. You're going to create revenue for the state through taxes. You know. So once again, I'm saying that we ourselves can do stuff. I mean, many of you have come all the way down from wherever you are, the Caribbean, North America, come all the way to Ghana. It's not easy to do that. And being able to do that shows that you have some mettle, you have some strength. That is where you should apply. Take advantage of the opportunities. They are waiting. The opportunities are waiting. They are there waiting. Let's take advantage of them. And if you need any further help, we can have a quick chat and we'll give you the help necessary. At the end of the day, for me, there will be no greater joy than to see development happen in the Central region and in Cape Coast. Do you have one more question? No more questions. Oh, that's not possible. But thank you very much for listening to me.
Yes, all right, thank you very much. Could you please sit? Before then, let me acknowledge the presence of this dignitary here. We are on the soil of UCC, the University of Competitive Choice. And the second in command is in the house, my own Ekwabem sister. Please let's welcome Professor Rosemond Bohini, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of this great university. She's here. Thank you very much, Madam. for that support. Well, we'll break, and then when we return, this is where we are going to talk about the business offerings of the Central Region. And we have the people here to come and speak to this issue. So please, we'll take a group photograph, the dignitaries with the minister, Mr. Yofi, Grant, and then Osaberima. Please, those in front, the Pro VC, also join us. Deputy